Welcome to the top of the morning show. It's your girl Titi from the D, and I wanted to stop by on this thankful Thursday. Thankful I am. And I wanted to say thank you in advance before I get to the topic. I'm not going to hold you long this morning. Thank you for being loyal listeners. Thank you for being loyal supporters, big supporters of TT from the D, top of the morning show, as well as Tap In Tuesdays. I am so grateful for each and every viewer, each and every listener. Now let's get down to it. I want to talk to you about the topic of being faithful. Faithful in the little things. Now, think about it. Can you count on yourself? Can people count on you? If you say yes, great. If you say no, then we have work to do. In the world that we live in, it looks like, especially with the young people, that people feel entitled. Like, oh, I should get that because they have that. But what did you do to get what they have? And do you know what they did to get what they have? That's rhetorical. You feel like, I deserve a promotion. I've been here longer than these people that's coming here making all this good money. But are you putting in the work? Not only are you putting in the work, are you trustworthy? Are you dependable? Are you hardworking? Are you dedicated? These are all, of course, again, rhetorical. But these are things we need to look at when we try to measure ourselves against other people, because we are not like everybody else. We are individually, createdly different, right? We all have a different pathway and where we choose to go or how we got there. And even if we end up at the same time in the same destination, that does not mean that we are aligned for what's next automatically just because somebody else is in line for something. You don't know what it took for them to get there, just like they don't know what it took for you to get where you're going. People want right now gratitude, instant gratification on things that sometimes they don't even deserve. And what we want today sometimes is not what we want tomorrow. Just like what we wanted yesterday sometimes is not what we want today. We have really gotten into meeting up with a generation that really don't understand the whole meaning of you got to work hard. You got to grind for what you want. I'm not sure why people feel like they don't have to do certain things or put in the work. I don't know who told people that they don't. Even my generation. Sometimes I look at even my own generation of people and I'm like, wow, we just don't want to do it. Now, who wants to just grind every day? I don't either. However, I understand that it takes work and it builds character. And I know that if you're faithful over a little, God will bless you with a lot. And I'm a living witness, and I can give you honest testimony about that. Why? Because that was my truth. I remember when I lived on my own for the very first time. I wanted the downstairs unit to this beautiful home. Now, it was one of those beautiful homes in an area that people have taken a single home and turned it into one. And I desperately wanted that downstairs unit. Well, I wasn't able to get it at the time, so I got the upstairs unit. It was still a beautiful place, but I felt like I want more. And I remember my now husband, my then friend, he said, he knew I was down and he really, was sad for me. But he said, you know what, TT, let me tell you something, hon. He said, if you could prove to God that you can take care of this, what he's blessing you with, the downstairs unit, then he will bless you when he knows you're ready I had the upstairs, so I'm sorry, for the downstairs. So even my then landlord, who was a friend now, he said, I know you would, like the downstairs and it's a little bit more, but let's see how things go, after a year, paying your rent on time and everything as well. And if it's available, I don't have a problem with it. But this is your first time out. I'll never forget the conversation. He said, it's like you're a ghost. Because at the time, I had lived with my older son's father. All right. And so My first time moving out wasn't on my own. My first time moving out was with my older son's father. And it was like we did everything as one, but everything was in his name, right? And so by the time it was for me to have to set out and do my own thing, there was no evidence that I existed. And my landlord was like, it's like you were a ghost. I'm like, wow. So I was like, okay. I lived there for a little over a year, and the downstairs became available. And he asked me, do you want to move downstairs? Well, it was so easy because I'm like, okay, yes. But I had showed him, and I also had showed God that I could take care of the little. And he increased my territory. And then once we showed that we could take care of that, we ended up moving into a bigger house, and so on and so forth. There's so many stories that we have that we don't realize that we have testimonies about taking care of the small stuff, appreciating the small stuff that will help us truly appreciate the big stuff. Right? You might agree with me, you may not agree with me, and that's okay, but we have to be faithful. We have to be faithful. We have to have core values that align with our faithfulness. See, a faithful act that was performed out of genuineness is seen. An act that is performed that's not genuine is also seen. We have to learn to move ahead and use what we have to become greater and better at what we do. If you want it, it's yours. He will provide a way, but you have to be faithful. If you have a little bit right now, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to mope and complain and pout? Or are you going to say, thank you, Lord? I appreciate my portion of what you've blessed me with. And I look forward to the day that I have more, that I receive more, that you increase my territory. And he will. I promise you he will. I'm a living testimony. I can stand before you and say, I know that journey. I know that walk. Now our walks are going to be different. Our walks are not going to be the same. They're going to be similar. Some will be similar. Some we won't even be able to understand it. But even for the ones that are similar, we'll be able to say, you know what? That sounds familiar. And if she could do it, or if he could do it, if they could do it, I know I can do it. What makes me better than you? What makes her better than you? What makes him better than you? What makes them better than you? Nothing. Besides the fact that they're working at what you see them have, and you don't know what it took for them to have it. Now that's just something for you to marinate on this Thankful Thursday. Whatever it is that you see that you want, and especially when it's aligned with your purpose, he will give it to you, but he will not until you show and prove that you are ready, that you are worthy, and you can handle it. Well, that's all I have for you on this Thankful Thursday. I hope that you'll join me tomorrow for a wonderful Friday morning flow. It's your girl TT from the D, and I'll see you soon.